We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mondays with Maja. Mondays with Maja. Mondays at 8 p.m. Hello. We are talking today about growth mindset. Growth mindset. And also, I want to thank, hello, Mary and Michelle. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're talking about growth mindset. I also want to say a big thank you to everybody who connected with me over the past weekend through LinkedIn. TED Ideas sent an article out about my TED Talk onto their LinkedIn page, and I spent the entire weekend responding back to everybody's comments, good and bad. I responded to pretty much every single person's comment. So if anybody from LinkedIn is now joining, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Hello everybody who's joining. Hello. What else? I think that's all that's new. I have a workshop coming up. Hi Mimi and Family McBain. Hello. I have a workshop coming up. Hi Rosalie, on Sunday, April 28th from 11 to 2 p.m. and that's in Burlington. And for that workshop, we are talking about the imposter syndrome. We're talking about people-pleasing tendencies, and it'll be a great little workshop because it's a small group of women, and we sit into groups of like 8. Hi Rosalie, and it's a really lovely, safe environment to really dig deep with the material. The last workshop I did was basically a crying fest where people just got really open and vulnerable, and we started talking about our failures and how that makes us feel. Hello, Holly, and Simply Sriracha, I believe. Hello. And so anyways, the workshop was really phenomenal, and it was maybe 15 of us, and it sort of really broke down some personal barriers for people just to be vulnerable and know that they're not alone in their failures, and know that they're not alone in their people-pleasing tendencies and this feeling of doubt that constantly creeps up. So that's what the workshop is going to be about on hello everybody. That's what the workshop's going to be about at the end of April. Okay, so let's break it down. Let's get into growth mindset. Oh my goodness, growth mindset. I'm going to put up the books, my 2 favorite books on growth mindset. I'll put them up in stories, but if you want to see them now, I don't know if it comes up in reverse. Does it come up in reverse on a video, or can you see it?
It comes up.
It comes up in reverse. Okay. So this is called, hi Jennifer. So the lead researcher for the past 20 years, at least, in growth mindset research is the phenomenal Dr. Carol Dweck. Read her stuff, watch her YouTube stuff, watch her TED Talks, watch her interviews. She's all over the place. So she wrote the pivotal book on it, basically summarizing a lot of her research, and it is called Mindset, the New Psychology of Success, How We Can Learn to Fulfill Our Potential. And then the other book is more for teachers, and we'll put out this in a IG story afterwards. So this book is more for teachers, and it's called The Growth Mindset Coach, a teacher's month-by-month handbook for empowering students to achieve. Okay, so let's break it down. What is a growth mindset? Okay, so let's break down fixed mindset and compare it to a growth mindset. So a fixed mindset is where you believe your intelligence is fixed. It's static. You are born with a set amount of intelligence or abilities or talents, and that's what you get. That's a fixed mindset. you are more preoccupied with the desire to look smart. And if that is the tendency, Patty, hi Patty. If you have a fixed mindset where you believe your intelligence and your abilities and your talents are fixed, you are more likely then to have certain tendencies. And those tendencies are, you avoid challenges. You avoid challenges. You run from them. Hola! The second thing is, when you come up to obstacles, you are more likely to get defensive if you can't do it right away, and you're more likely to give up easier. You don't want to put in more effort because in that moment you feel like it's testing your intelligence. For effort, you see effort as pointless because either you're smart or you're not. Either you're good at math or you're not. Either you're musically inclined or you're not. Either you're creative or you're not. And if you see that, if you have that perspective, you're less likely to place a high value on putting in effort to get better at something. People with a fixed mindset also are not huge fans of criticism. Hello, Maria. They're not huge. And Treg Smith. Hello. You're not huge fans of criticism. You feel when you get critiqued, you take it very, very personally, and you feel like a failure. That for a lot of us, hello Maria, for a lot of us is a difficulty dealing with criticism. A lot of times we take that personally and then we feel, I've said this 1,000 times, you fail and then you feel like you are the failure. You make a mistake and then you feel like you are the mistake. So people who have a fixed mindset don't do well with criticism because they take it to heart. They take it so personally. And when it comes to success, people with a fixed mindset feel threatened by other people's success. They don't feel happy for them because they feel like there's just a little bit less for themselves. And then as a result, you sort of plateau. You reach a point where you think, well, this is as good as it's going to get. Hi, Audrey. An infuriated babe. Hello. So how can we compare that? And I'm going to post this picture for you that I have. I'm going to post that in the IG story afterwards, okay? So how do we compare that to people who have a growth mindset? So Carol Dweck says, growth mindset, the main idea around that is you believe your confidence, your talents, your abilities, your skills can be learned. It can grow. Your intelligence can be developed. And if you believe that at your core, then you are more likely to have the opposite tendencies of those in the fixed mindset. For instance, you are more likely with the growth mindset to embrace challenges. You're more likely to be like, okay, this is okay. Does this stem from childhood, not having supportive or encouraging parents? It can be, it can stem from childhood, and it can also be perpetuated by how we are taught in the school system. So if you have parents who constantly praise you for things that may come easy to you and who don't praise your grit, your resilience, your effort, your progress, then a fixed mindset can develop. And then if you get a teacher who believes in fixed mindsets and believes that if her students present in class as not good in math, then they probably will never be good at math. And so you can sort of have like a double whammy where you can develop a fixed mindset through how you were parented, and then it becomes solidified with how you are taught in the school system. So having a teacher with a growth mindset who encourages failure in the classroom and who gives their students the grace and the cushion to fail, that can change a fixed mindset into a growth mindset. We'll get into this a little bit later, but mindsets are not permanent. You can absolutely change and develop into a growth mindset. Rosalie, can I fix my... Oh, great minds think alike, Rosalie. I literally just answered that. Yes, absolutely. Hi, Alessandra. Absolutely, you can change. You can develop from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And you can also occupy both mindsets at the same time. I can sort of believe that my musical talents are fixed at the same time that I can believe my intelligence can be grown. But you can learn the tools and the strategies to start changing your mindset to be able to deal with criticism and feedback and failure differently so that you don't internalize it. Okay, so let's just quickly review that. So that a growth mindset is somebody who believes their intelligence can be developed, that their skills and their abilities can grow. And if you believe that, you are more likely to embrace challenges, embrace obstacles. You look forward to the challenge. You look forward to stretch assignments that work you in a different way. You are also more likely to persist when challenged, to keep going when you face these obstacles, right? When you have these setbacks, you're more likely to not internalize any failures, and you're more likely to just see the failures as opportunities, see the failures as information. You also, with a growth mindset, know the value of criticism. You're like, yes, 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 bring it on. Because criticism for a growth mindset means learning. I'm growing new brain cells. I'm growing neurons in my brain. I'm developing. I'm learning new things. So a growth mindset person welcomes the feedback, welcomes the criticism because they learn from the criticism. And people with a growth mindset love other people's success. They're not threatened by another person's success because they look at another person's success and they're like, yes, yes, yes. How can I learn? Please teach us all the great tips. I will. This is a two-parter. We're going to get through as much as we can now, and then we're going to get more into it next week, where we're going to do sort of growth mindset part 2. So a growth mindset person finds lessons and inspiration from other people's success. And you love my earrings. Why, thank you, Aldo. These are Aldo. Woo. It's difficult for me to find big earrings. I'm constantly on the lookout for big earrings that don't make noise, that don't like clank up against my face when I give talks, or if I'm wearing a microphone here, I can't have earrings that move too much. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so growth mindset, intelligence can be developed, fixed mindset, everything is static and cannot be grown, okay? So growth mindset, nothing is fixed. Everything is fluid. Everything can be learned. Just because you don't know anything now about how to write a good essay, how to give a public talk, how to do math, how to play a musical instrument, doesn't mean you can't learn that. One of the biggest compliments I get, hi Ma, I love seeing you here with your powerful message and inspiration. Oh, hello. Who is this? This is Renee. Hello. Thank you. One of the compliments that I get from people who hear me speak live, one of the most common compliments I get is, oh my gosh, you're such a talented public speaker. It's Adele. Oh, hi, Adele. Hello. Adele from Renegade. Is it Renegade? Renegade Extreme Fitness. Yes, Adele. Okay. Thank you. So one of the compliments I get is, oh, you're such a talented speaker. You have such a gift. You were born with the gift of gab. And I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with talent. My ability to be a good public speaker, to be a charismatic public speaker, has absolutely nothing to do with ingrained talent, and everything, hands down, everything to do with persistence, practice, and timely feedback. I have spent at least 10,000 hours, probably closer to 15,000 hours, practicing public speaking. And every single time I get up on the stage, I get immediate feedback from the audience. I can tell when a joke doesn't land, and passion, thank you. But I can tell when a joke doesn't land. I can tell when people are bored because they're pulling out their phones. But now sometimes they pull out their phones because they want to tweet out what I said or something, or they want to take a picture of my PowerPoint. But I can tell when I've lost them. And then I work harder. Okay, how can I get the audience back? How can I bring them back on my side? How can I engage my students more in class? And that is all hard work, persistence, determination, a willingness to look at the feedback, constructive feedback, as opportunity to learn. So nothing to do with talent or something that I was born with. It's literally all hours and hours and hours spent doing it. Okay. So how do people who have a fixed or growth mindset deal with mistakes and failures? So Carol Dweck, the leading research on this, a lot of her research comes from students. So that's why a lot of my examples now are going to be from students. But so here we go. So students with a growth mindset, when they're working on a difficult task, and they make a mistake. What she did is she actually had them work on a difficult mistake and then analyzed brain scans of what was going on in their brains and found those that have a growth mindset when working on a challenging task, the neurons in their brain were firing nonstop. Their brain was lit up. The dopamine was flowing. They were challenged. They were looking for strategies to move through that failure. And when they looked at somebody with a fixed mindset who was also working on the same problem, there was little activity going on. Isn't that amazing? The people with the growth mindset, when they find a challenge or a problem, get really into it because they're excited about how they can figure out a new way to get through this problem. Okay. A lot of people think that a growth mindset is just thinking positive thoughts, or it's just positive thinking, or it's just really believing in yourself. And it's not. It's not that at all. The problem with positive thinking is that it never really mentions hard work. Developing a growth mindset is totally achievable, but damn, it's hard work. Holy moly, you have to work at this. You have to recognize what triggers you when you shut down and switch from a growth mindset to a fixed mindset. And then you have to figure out the words and the phrases that play on your mind on instant replay when you do fail. How do you talk about yourself? How long does that negative self-talk last? How are you switching that out? All of that takes work, and it's not a light switch. It's not something that you can just read her book, read about a study that she did, and then switch over to a growth mindset. This takes work. But like 25 years of her research has shown, you can do it. You can absolutely develop this. So it's not just believing that, oh, if I just believe in myself, then I will be better at math. If I just believe in myself, I'll be a better writer or a better public speaker. No. That's just like the beginning stage. Yeah, you got to believe in yourself, but now comes the hard work. Now you got to put in the hours of focused determination, get timely, constructive feedback, and then go back and try it again. So how do you sort of learn these initial mindsets? It comes down to praise. And this is for all the parents out there and the teachers who may be watching this. How do you praise? There's two types of praising. One is ability praise, and the other is process praise. So ability praise is when people say stuff to you like, oh my gosh, you're so smart. You're so talented. You're so good at this. You're so artistic. You're so creative. You're stuff like that, right? That is ability praise, and that is fixed mindset, because you know what that does? That impairs further motivation. Hey, Jessica, that impairs further motivation, because if you were constantly told, oh, you're so smart at this, you're so smart at this, the very first moment you come across a problem where you don't get it right away, you start thinking, if I'm so smart, how come I can't get this? This must mean I'm dumb. This must mean I suck at this. So this whole culture of praising every little thing our students do and praising every little thing our children do has created this mental backlash for them, because it's not encouraging grit, resilience, persistence, perseverance, and determination. All it's doing is making our kids feel badly about themselves, because then they internalize a stumbling block. So what Carol Dweck was saying in her research is it turns these students into non-learners. They become disengaged. They don't want to try challenging stuff because it's just a confirmation, a reconfirmation that they're not bright, that they're dumb. Because if they were smart, they should have been able to get this. I probably mentioned this before, but I had this aha moment in my classroom last semester where I was talking about all my failures to my students. And this was a third year undergraduate class, so the students were, in their early 20s, except for some of my mature students. And I said, for many of you, you're taking new subjects, whether it's sociology or a science subject, or you're writing a lot of essays for the first time, or you're taking stats for the first time. Why in the world would you think you were capable of writing a good essay right off the bat? Why do you think you're capable? Why in the world would you think you are capable of acing stats when you've never done stats before? And I could see a lot of people listening intensely to that. And one particular girl came up to my class afterwards and she said, oh my gosh, I just realized now how hard I was being on myself because she had failed stats. And I have so many students like this. They take an exam to get into med school, grad school, law school, to get into being a chartered financial accountant, and they fail the first exam. And they are like, well, there you go. That's it. I guess I wasn't meant to be a lawyer. There you go. I didn't get into law school the first time. And there you go. I didn't pass this exam. And some of them, got kicked out of their programs because it was like a major exam. And it's like, why? I used to think that people were born with it. Then I realized people put hard work and self-discipline. Absolutely. Passion fruit. I don't know your name, but I'll go with passion fruit for now. Absolutely. So why? And I did this too when I was doing baby stats in university, and I hadn't done stats since I hadn't done math since grade 10 high school. So why would I think that I would do well in it? No, you're not going to. Oh, Carolina. Hi, Carolina. Carolina from Passion Fruit. So when you are constantly praised on ability, right? You're so smart. You're so talented. You're so good at math. You're so good at math. You're so good at writing. You're so good at public speaking. The very next time you encounter a stumbling block, you're going to think, well, if I'm so good at public speaking, why did I just bomb? If I'm so good at writing essays, why did I just fail? If I'm so good at stats, why can't I get this problem? So that type of praising with our kids and our students leads to them disengaging from difficult tasks. And as you go through your schooling and in life, everything just gets more difficult. So what we're teaching our students is, if it gets more difficult, you probably can't hack it. You probably can't handle it. And then let's contrast that with the right way to praise, and that's process praising. This is when you praise the progress. You praise their strategies. You are praising their perseverance. You are praising their determination to keep trying. You are praising the effort. That is what leads them to connect their effort and their determination with the outcome. So it's not about whether they're smart enough. It's about, oh yeah, look how I just put in an hour working on that puzzle and now look what happened, right? And so when you praise that, you end up sustaining motivation and engaging learners. You know what I found fascinating? Steve, could I just have some water? Actually, sorry. Excuse. Did you catch that? I just apologized. I just said sorry for coughing. What? Excuse me. Pardon me. My throat is parched.
Bella, Molly's joined. Real clean joined.
Okay. So get this. So they did a study on how mothers praised, that's right, total ups, how mothers praised their babies from ages 1 to 3. So I believe it was measured on film clips. So they had mothers interacting with their babies, and this was all filmed, and then the researchers watched these film clips back, and they measured their baby's mindset and desire for challenges 5 years later. And they found that mothers who used process praise, who emphasized their baby's determination to figure a problem out, those babies turned into children with a growth mindset 5 years later. So that was one of the first studies that showed just how early a fixed mindset and a growth mindset can set in. So ability, praise, backfire. So don't praise your kids. Hey, Jennifer, Rachel, don't praise your kids or your students or your friends on their talents. Praise them on their effort, on their determination, on their willingness to deal with failure, on their perseverance. That's what we want to be praising them on. So mindsets can absolutely be changed. They are not permanent. You can grow a mindset. So although they're an important part of your personality, they can absolutely be changed for the better. And your mindset can influence your achievements down the road. How we think about our abilities absolutely plays a role in what we then achieve later on in life. So in another interesting study, Carol Dweck took seventh graders who were showing a declining grade and aptitude in math. And she particularly wanted to focus on seventh graders because that was a difficult transition for students in the States. That's when everything was getting more difficult. Hi, Lynn. And one group of these seventh graders got a whole session of married to Crohn's, hello, got a whole session of learning skills, workshops on learning skills and how to study better. And then the second group got also the same study skills and learning skills, but they also got workshops on growth mindsets. And the very first thing these seventh graders who were struggling in math had to read was an article titled, "You Can Grow Your Intelligence. New research shows the brain can be developed like a muscle." And these seventh graders who were then given workshops on growth mindset, their minds blew up because they could not believe that you could actually become smarter by working on more difficult tasks. For so many of us, when we struggle with tasks, we take it as a personal affront that we are somehow dumb, incapable, not suit out for this type of job, that we're not the type of character that succeeds here, that we're not good at this. And believe me, when I made the switch from being full-time academia into part-time academia and doing trying to become an entrepreneur, I absolutely kept falling into this mindset like, I'm not an entrepreneur. I've never opened up my own business. Nobody in my family ever has a business or has ever had a business. I never even had like a paper route to try to make some money when I was younger and try a new business. So who the hell am I to think that I could be an entrepreneur? And then I had to immediately be, holy shit, Maja, what are you doing? Why are you thinking like that? Fixed mindset. And then I had to like swim in this stuff, right? And read about other entrepreneurs and immerse myself with podcasts and TED Talks and personal get-togethers with other entrepreneurs to remind myself of the process, that it's not fixed. Okay, anyways, back to this really interesting study with the 7th graders. So they read this article and they learn that stretching themselves out of their comfort zone is the very thing that makes them smarter. That's the very thing that makes them smarter. And it's the same with adults. The number one tip for growing or developing a growth mindset is to continuously push yourself out of your comfort zone and do things that are a stretch. They're called stretch assignments, where you're not absolutely sure you're going to nail it, where it's more difficult than you're used to, where you don't exactly know the outcome of the project that you're working on. That uncomfortableness is the exact thing you need to start growing new neurons, really, to start growing the ability to develop the growth mindset. So Carol Dweck talks about how she showed these students that there were neurons in the brain that were forming new connections every time they worked on a difficult task. They were growing new connections every single time they were working on difficult things that weren't pleasant. It wasn't easy. They didn't particularly like doing them, but they were intrigued by them, right? They wanted to work on them. And they loved this idea that they could actually be smarter by sticking it out. You can actually become smarter by working on the more difficult tasks. So what she found in this study is that the 7th graders, my attitude has always been, what can happen when facing a challenge? Yeah, Audrey, like, what's the worst that could happen, right? You fail, you learn from it, and then you keep going. But there's a hell of a lot worse that can happen if you don't try. Because then what happens when you don't take that risk and you don't go out of your comfort zone and you keep doing stuff that's easy, and that you already know you're going to do well in, is it hardens your fixed mindset. It reaffirms to you that you're probably not capable of doing more. And so we then lower our goals in life. We lower what we think we're capable of. We lower our expectations because we think, yeah, the regret, absolutely. The regret is one of the biggest failures. I don't have a regret in my life of failing at something. Absolutely not. I regret missed opportunities that I was too scared to take. But I don't have any regrets of failing. And oh my gosh, if you listen to my first Mondays with Maja, the whole 45 minutes was a discussion of all my failures. So you know that I failed a lot. Or even recovering after trauma. Oh my gosh, absolutely, right? It's like when you recover after whatever trauma you were initially exposed to or went through, if you don't go through those baby steps of exposure, what they call exposure therapy, where you expose yourself to a difficult task that may remind you of that time you failed or that trauma. If you don't keep doing that, there almost is no way forward, because then you just get locked into that pattern. So what she found with this study with these 7th graders is those that got the training of the growth mindset, their grades started to increase in math, and they became more engaged in school. And she also did a very similar study with students in schools that had a lot of suspensions, a lot of violence, a lot of fighting, a lot of aggression with students. And she found the exact same thing, that that when you teach students, doesn't matter what age, but when you teach people and give them the workshop and give them the tools to develop a growth mindset, with time and practice, their stress decreases, their anxiety decreases, their depression decreases, their ability to form lasting, sustaining relationships increase. They're happier. They're more content. let me see if I can, so there's so many studies right now going through my mind of what I want to tell you about. So teachers play a huge role in developing this growth mindset. And if you have a teacher who believes that you're not smart enough or you're not capable enough, it can change that student's inner belief. It can change whether they go into a general program, an advanced program, whether they apply to community college or university or a trade school. It can change their life. So teachers have such a vital role. And if a teacher doesn't believe that their students are smart or capable, they tend to reproduce students that aren't smart or capable. You had that, Audrey, you had that teacher, and it still haunts you. My mom had a guidance counselor who, when she immigrated from Serbia and when she came here to Canada, many of you may relate to this story if you have an accent. But she came over obviously with a heavy accent, and people thought she was dumb and that she wasn't smart and that she wasn't capable. And my mom to this day can feel, and when she tells me the story, I get goosebumps because she remembers that time that the guidance counselor told her, oh my gosh, Audrey, you went to her funeral to make sure she was dead. Wow. Well, I guess that was closure for you, probably. That was probably sort of a new, almost birth for you in your emotional, in your emotions and your psychological hardiness. Wow. So my mom, when a guidance counselor told her she wasn't capable of going to university and she should be a secretary, my mom to this day tears up when she thinks about that. She thinks about all the times people undervalued her because she spoke with an accent, or because she was a new immigrant, or because she didn't know the Canadian culture, or whatever it was. And when you have somebody who believes in a fixed ability with you, it can change you, right? It can wreck your self-esteem. It can chip away at your confidence. So teachers who teach with a growth mindset tend to produce students who develop growth mindsets. And then it's just a domino effect, right? So a teacher's mindset matters. Oh my gosh, it matters so much. So what can teachers do to further develop their own growth mindset? One of the things that they can do is professional development. Oh my gosh, keep reading about this stuff. Listen to TED Talks and podcasts and interviews. Read everything you can about Carol Dweck, or if you're a more visual or audio learner, listen to her stuff online. Go to professional development workshops. The second thing is observe better teachers. Observe teachers who are killing it in the classroom. Observe teachers who you've heard about how they have this phenomenal dynamic in the classroom. Go and sit in on their classroom. Mentors with a growth mindset are fantastic as well. Absolutely. Completely. A mentor with a growth mindset will set the bar higher for you. They will tell you that you can achieve stuff that you didn't even think you were capable of achieving because they already see the potential in you. And the third thing, so the first thing that teachers can do is professional development. The second thing is to observe phenomenal teaching. Sit in another teacher's classroom and watch how that classroom is run on a growth mindset strategy. 3 is ask for feedback. Holy moly, get that feedback. Timely, constructive feedback all the time. Constantly be putting yourself out there for critique. How can I be better? How can I run this better? How can I teach this better? How can I use different words or phrases or examples or stories to reach my students? Every single talk that I give, every single talk or workshop that I do, immediately, Rosalie, what happens when mentors see something in you but you don't see it in yourself? That takes time. That takes time. My mentors saw that I was capable of graduate school years before I got there, mentally and emotionally. Sometimes that's just like a personal journey that you have to work on yourself and figure out the triggers about why you don't believe in yourself, what is still holding you back, whether it is a phrase that you've been repeating to yourself, a person who didn't believe in you, a event that happened to you. We should actually maybe write that down as another Mondays with Maya topic to unpack not believing in yourself enough. So asking for feedback as a teacher takes a lot of courage, right? It really, really does. But you can do that in any job or position you have. If you had an interview and you didn't nail that interview and you didn't get that job, boom, you got to do a debrief interview. Why did I not? Yeah, absolutely. Negative and positive criticisms help you grow. Probably for me, it's more critical feedback that helps me rather than the positive stuff. How can you set yourself up for success, leading to success next time, not knowing when the next promotion will be? I think it's about working on your skills, developing, talking to others, getting feedback from your superiors, from people in decision-making authority in your company about what they think you can work on. Because yeah, sometimes the next promotion may not be for another 6 months at your company. But as long as you feel like you're being challenged in that job and you're learning new skill sets, then stay there and keep doing those professional workshops and development at that job. I find that I always knew it was time for me to change positions when I wasn't learning anything new and I wasn't being challenged. Okay, so 4 specific things that teachers can do. 1 is professional development. That's where you're picking up new ideas and new techniques. 2 is sit in on another teacher's classroom and observe them. 3 is ask for timely, constructive feedback. And 4 is deal with the problems in your teaching right away. What deficiencies do you have in your teaching? What mistakes are you doing? What biases maybe do you have? You need to check yourself. What can you personally work on to further develop? And that's something that you can, hi Crystal, that's something that you can work on, not just as a teacher, but in any sort of job or promotion or job or environment or culture that you're working in, is figure out what area you need to get better at and work on that. Okay, so what else do I want to talk about? Gosh, I have so many notes. So how do we develop, all right. How do we develop a growth mindset? So 1 is, hi Crystal, 1 is Family McBain, hello. Recognize your fixed mindset tendencies. Okay, so this is tip number 1 for how do you develop your growth mindset. Number 1, recognize your fixed mindset tendencies. That means recognize your triggers. Recognize when something cuts a little deep and hurts a little much, and you then need to figure out, why do you feel that way? Why do you have a fixed mindset, right? And that's really linked to your triggers. When does this negative mindset arise for you? Does it arise around certain people or certain difficult tasks that reminds you of that moment, maybe in your past, maybe in your childhood, where you failed and you messed up, and that's why you're not going out of your comfort zone, because it reminds you of that time that you failed. When you need to figure out what those triggers are, and for a lot of people, our triggers are similar, and they are around failure and criticism. Dealing with failure is really hard. That's something that you need to practice and work on in order to develop a resilience where you learn from the failure and you don't take it personally. And so, do you get triggered around deadlines? Does that stress you out? Do you get triggers? Yes, triggers for sure, Crystal. Do you get triggered when you have to disagree with somebody? Do you get triggered around certain people, certain environments, different tasks? So I had a student come see me in my office hours because she didn't want to do the public presentation. I make I don't make all my students, but I encourage all my students to do a public presentation. And it's 2 minutes, and they get like 10% of the grade if they can just talk for 2 minutes in front of the classroom, no notes on anything. And the student came to me and she was all worked up and she did not want to do this. She was begging me for an alternative assignment. And I said, why do you not want to talk for 2 minutes? It's just 2 minutes and you get 10%. And she said, because when I was in grade 7, I messed up in a public presentation in class. And I never forgot that feeling. Grade 7. In grade 7, you're 12. She was like 24. So can you imagine, over a decade, you are holding on to that fear? And I asked her how many presentations she had done in school. None. Because she had avoided every single course where she had to get up and present. And that's your fixed mindset. That is your fixed mindset because you are not developing the skills you need to deal with failure, to deal with criticism. Because that one time that she failed when she was in grade 7, to her, confirmed that she sucked at public speaking. Therefore, I'm not good at this. Therefore, I should not do that. If we don't recognize our triggers, we can't change our behavior. And changing the behavior is the third part. It's the third tip of growing a growth mindset. So one, remember, the tip is you got to recognize your fixed mindset. When does that tend to occur for you? 2, what are your triggers? When do they come around? Is it people or environments or certain opportunities that trigger you, that stress you out? And then the third one is, what is your behavior when you get triggered? What do you do when this trigger occurs? What does this fixed mindset then lead you to do? Do you give up? Do you get all stressed? Do you get anxious? Do you talk yourself out of it? Do you procrastinate? Do you avoid it completely? Do you remind yourself of that time that you failed? Do you then use negative self-talk, going over and over and over, replaying in your mind? It's something about having the attention on you. And that's exactly why I encourage my students to do it, because I want them to feel the attention on them and know that they are worthy of commanding attention. That's why I encourage public speaking so much. It is a life skill. Because when you get up there and you hear your voice aloud, you know that you are worthy of having your voice heard. You know that your voice matters. And that's why I do it, because it is a transformative experience. When you do that, you then realize, oh, I can do this. I can do more. I could have raised my expectations. And then ask yourself, how do you feel in this mixed mindset? How do you feel about this? That assignment was eye-opening. It shoved me out of my comfort zone. And I'm so, oh my gosh, Shara, you and everyone else. To this day, I get emails from my students who took my course maybe 2 years ago or 4 years ago, and they say, because of that assignment, and they all hated it, like they all hated doing that assignment. But then once they did it, it transformed them. Because so many of them said, you know what, I'm going to apply for that job that I never thought I was good enough. And some of them, it was like a job, it was a retail job, working at Aritzia. I never thought I was stylish enough to work at Aritzia, but because I did that public presentation, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm capable of more. I can do more. I told you about this in the last live talk. I did a live radio interview, live, with the BBC last week. Was it last week or 10 days ago? I was shitting bricks. I was so nervous because I kept thinking, and that fixed mindset can creep in. I was like, oh my gosh, Maja, oh my gosh, you make a mistake. This is it. Your career's over. If you fumble, people are going to think you're an idiot. People are not going to hire you for a talk if you're mumbling with your words on live radio. And then I remembered, if I don't do this, if I don't push myself out of my comfort zone, I'm not going to grow that skill. And now I've done 2 live radio interviews, and I'm like, okay, it's still nerve-wracking. Yes, it's still nerve-wracking, but I'm like, I'm feeling a little less anxious about it, and I'm growing that skill of doing live radio now. But my initial reaction was like, oh my gosh, what if I don't nail it? And then I have to switch it to, stop expecting perfection, Maja. Stop expecting flawlessness. Do it. Let that be the first expectation. Do it. Get out of your comfort zone. Take action. Just do something, right? Rather than thinking about all the possible consequences and ways that you can mess up. Okay, the 4th tip then on how to grow your mindset is, your growth mindset is, remind yourself then of the differences of that fixed and growth mindset. Remind yourself of this daily. Ask yourself this daily. Where are there opportunities today to learn? Where am I learning something new today? How am I growing a new skill set today? How am I stretching myself out of my comfort zone today? Every single day. You've got to be practicing this stuff. This is how you grow your confidence muscle, and this is how you develop your growth mindset. It's not like you just listen to this talk on Monday and then you don't do anything for 3 weeks. Every single day, what are you learning? What are you putting in your path to push yourself and learn something new? And then you got to develop a plan. Okay, what am I going to do tomorrow that I'm going to learn? Am I going to listen to a TED Talk? Am I going to read a chapter in a new book? Am I going to listen to a new podcast? What am I going to do tomorrow, and when am I going to do it to get myself out of my comfort zone? And that's really something that you got to practice, right? You really, really have to practice this on a daily basis. Oh my gosh, look at all, I have so many studies to go over. So many good studies. I'll just give you one quick thing that she talked about, developing a growth mindset at work. And companies that value fixed talent are not companies that foster a growth mindset. They're not companies that want you to try new things, be innovative, fail, take a risk. And employees know right away if they are working at a fixed mindset company or a growth mindset company. You know the culture of that company. You know, is your company a one mistake and you're done kind of thing? Hi, Erica. Or is your company a company that encourages you to try new things? If you mess up, it's okay because it's a learning opportunity. And Camilla before that, hello. So employees who work at a growth mindset company, or that there's a culture of growth mindset, feel empowered. They feel motivated. They feel committed to that company. If you work in a fixed mindset company, those employees are more likely, and you know this is true because you and I have both been there. If you work in a fixed mindset culture, you're more likely to have one foot out the door. You're more likely to be looking for a better opportunity constantly. You're working there, but you're really looking for a better job. But if it was a growth mindset company, you'd be all in. You'd be focused, you'd be committed, because you know they are as committed to your growth as you are to theirs. Okay, so how much time do we have? Can we talk about, we have 4 minutes. Yeah, because we've been going for a while now. I wanted to talk about the power of the power of not yet. So there was a school in Chicago, a high school in Chicago, I was the photographer at the International Women's Day event you spoke at. You're amazing. Such a good speech. I left feeling so inspired. Was this at Ryerson? Was this at the one from last week? That's so lovely. And thank you so much, Camilla, for, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, for putting that lovely note there. Thank you so much. You must be speaking about the Ryerson Women in Leadership. I think that was last week. Anyways, thank you so much for that. Okay, so let me tell you about this cool thing that they did in Chicago. Oh, the one in Guelph. The one in Guelph. Innovation Park. I was wearing sequins joggers for that one. Yes. No, the Guelph. Oh, I was wearing my sequins tuxedo. Oh, yes. Okay, so yeah, that was an awesome crowd. Oh my gosh, those women were engaged. I think that was like 350 women at that event. I saw a lot of aha moments happening there. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so let me tell you, I know normally I speak for like 40 minutes, but this is a really cool study. Let me just tell you about this high school in Chicago that Carol Dweck was doing research on. So in this school, students had to pass around 84 credits and to graduate, or 84 units to graduate. And if they didn't pass a course, they didn't get a grade. You know what they got? They got the words "not yet" written down on their report. Not yet. Not you didn't fail. You just haven't learned this skill yet. It's just not yet. Because a failing grade for so many of them became something that they internalized. But when you say not yet, it means, oh, there's hope. There's a learning curve there. I can still do it. And I thought that was so phenomenal. So they just kept giving their students opportunities to, okay, how can you learn that skill? How can you learn that new growth? Not yet. And it's something that I took from that study. I took that little tidbit with my daughter. She's 6 years old. And when she is struggling with a task, I can see that fixed mindset creep in where she's like, well, I'm not good at puzzles, or I'm not good at reading. And I said, oh, it's just not yet. You're not good at this puzzle yet. It's not yet, but you will get there, because how much effort have you put in? And then I asked her, how much time have you spent learning this new word? How much effort have you put in on this book? And then she's like, oh, well, not a lot. Well, then what did you expect? It's not you are a good reader or you're a bad reader. It's how much effort have you put in? How much time have you put in? So there's this. Oh, Steve wants me to stop talking. Why?
Instagram cuts off after
Instagram cuts us off after an hour. Shit, I did not know that. We have 1 minute left. I have like 18 more studies to talk about. Okay, yes, I see. 2 more minutes left. I did not know that. See, I'm learning. I didn't realize Instagram cuts us off after an hour. Okay, so anyways, next week, thank you so much. Really enjoyed today's talk. Awesome. So sad. I'm going to miss your talk next Monday. I'll be in Grenada. That's amazing. But if you miss it live, just go onto my YouTube. It gets posted on my YouTube later on that week. So if you don't catch it live, then you just watch it the next day. I have 1:24. You're rushing me. You are rushing me. And I have 1:24. How much information can I get out in 1:24? Okay, what else do I want to say? I don't know. I have so many studies now. Any questions? Any last minute questions? Great. I'm glad I'm not going to miss the talk. Yes. Awesome. Thanks. You're the best. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad you liked it, Rosalie. I'm glad this was useful, and I'm very enlightening. Thank you. And we will post the books, and I'll post the graph of the growth and the fixed mindset for you. You're rushing. I have 37 seconds left, buddy. 37 seconds. This guy rushing me. What else? Okay, I guess we're going to end there. Thank you so much for everybody joining. We did a marathon 1-hour session on growth mindset, and we still have like 55 studies to talk about. I know this is a good mindset. This is a good one. When is the next roundtable group after April? The next workshop after April 28th is, I don't know. Oh, we're leaving. Oh no, bye.